We had a simple idea: to bring excitement into your everyday. Healthy doesn't have to be boring. So come and get excited with us.
Hi guys, welcome to the podcast. This is episode 3 of Grab Life by the Cans. There's someone in the middle of us that we're going to introduce, but this week's episode is all about outside influence, and this guy in the middle is a right annoying influence, but let's see how it affects what you do in business. Who are you?
Well, firstly, before I introduce myself, what a name for a podcast. Grab Life by the Cans. That's pretty awesome. I know that was Meg that come up with that.
It was.
Was it? What a guess.
Was
one
it?
for one. It's already off to a good start. So I'm Dave. A lot of people know me in the rallycross world. I'm actually a competitor against you.
Well, yeah, but you don't drive.
No, but I try and mess up your weekends when I can.
Try to. No one actually knows what you do at the racing, though. That's the strange part about it.
That is the mystique of it all. If you tell people what you do, no one
Just gets paid for nothing, I reckon. But yeah.
Well, that is also quite true. I get paid to say what I see, basically. But yeah, I've been doing some rallycross stuff for the last, 10 years? And then I met you a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
When
maybe?
I started, I guess, yeah.
When did you start British rallycross? That's when
British
I met
Rallycross, I think, was 3 years ago.
you. Yeah.
So that's when I probably met you.
And you didn't know at that day in Croft when I met you
What was going to happen?
that it would be downhill from that point on.
No.
And Meg, bless her, just a passenger, a passenger in all this. Yeah. That was an interesting meet. I think you probably thought, what are you doing coming into the office and why are you here?
Yeah, literally. We were in the office one day and then Dave just turned up and I was like, who's this? And then he stayed with us for 3 months.
This is the thing that outside influencer, isn't it? Because you're a funny character, aren't you, Dave? You've got a lot of ideas.
I love an idea.
You've got some good ideas, which always sound pretty cool. Which is probably why you're on the podcast, and it's probably your idea at some point in life. And it was like, okay, well, come in. We're new. We're a startup. We're full of fun ideas. And you latched on, I think, to the idea that we were interested. We were all interested in gaming, wasn't we? Mainly through sim racing and different things. And we started working with Codemasters. And it was that idea of like, right, okay, we know energy drinks are big in gaming. And you had some ideas around that initially.
Yeah. And I think the first time that we discovered some ideas and got some stuff down on paper was when I come up to your other office, the office you were at before this one.
Yeah.
And it was us 3 sitting around a table, not quite as flash as this one, and a whiteboard and just brainstorming for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the ideas were insane. And Meg was the one to rein us in a bit, I think.
Probably.
No, to give you credit, I think just to give everyone a bit of background on where we were in the business and everything when Dave came about, basically it was when we were really right at the beginning, like full on, we were actually a different colour, our logo was different, we weren't really sure on our first product wasn't... Right, we've run out of washing up. So
Yeah, just for those who can't see the video, if you listen to this on sort of iPlayer, podcast player, whatever iTunes call it these days, he's drinking water from a champagne glass.
Yeah, I'm fancy, huh?
Yeah. All fancy here at XITE Energy. No, but it was back in the day when we weren't really sure where we were, and it was really much like trial and error research stage of our business. And then Dave kind of came in with a few good ideas. I think your strengths are definitely like the marketing side of stuff. You've got great ideas of how to engage people, how to get your product sort of, I think, unique ideas of how to get people to see your product. So Dave came in, had a great chat with him, and then it was actually, and guys, it really, really pains me to say this and give Dave any credit for anything.
Hang on, can we make sure this is recording, please?
Well, I'll just pause this bit in there. Yeah, go, Meg.
But Dave did actually give us the idea of our colour now, which is blue, because we were originally a different colour, weren't we? We were originally
we went for
green.
like a funny green colour, which we thought was the natural side, didn't we?
Yeah, we associated it with the natural caffeine that we were using. We wanted it was a bit more flowery. And then when Dave came in, he sort of said, there's a lot of other competitors which use that colour, which was a really good bit of advice at the time for us. And so that's when we transitioned.
Yeah, I think the clear thing for me was coming in and seeing that there's a lot of stuff happening really fast because you were so early in the startup stage.
And it probably wasn't long, was it, after we changed the name and the logo, which we didn't show people last week. So
Meg, I watched episode 2. What was the name that you was gonna run with?
You know what I'm gonna say? They've got to watch till the end.
Oh, they're going
this
open hook.
Meg, we actually have to show it this time.
You're gonna get a fine if
we'll
you
finish
don't.
on that. We'll finish on that.
Yeah, so I was obviously in super early. I think you just changed, or you were just making the change from a still drink in a plastic bottle.
Plastic bottle, yeah.
And it was more of a case of finding out where do you fit in the market and what have you learned so far.
Yeah.
And I was coming from a totally different angle from what you guys were looking at it, obviously from outside, not knowing your journey so far. And really, I looked at the gaming world and thought, okay, this is a bit out there and maybe it's not the right timing and maybe it's a bit early, but I thought perhaps that a fizzy can, or fizz in a can basically, would be the way to go if you could go direct to consumer. And I'd pick gaming to choose to go after, because although there's some energy drinks there wasn't really many ready to drink.
No.
There was a lot of like supplements and mix-ins aimed at gamers. The function that the drink had in it anyway, and your fascination around nootropics and stuff was a really good fit. So basically that's the last time I saw Meg, because she was down in the lab trying to figure out what to make fizzy.
Yeah. And it's still a core part of our business, isn't it? I think that's part of the thing with outside influence, especially when you're in that startup phase, is actually sometimes you're so narrow vision on, we wanted to create a healthy drink, okay, so green is healthy, we wanted to do this and that, still drinking plastic, and it's really hard to look outside of where your current path is when you're a startup and think, okay, well, this is what we think and this is what we believe. But when you look at it from a competitor set or even from a consumer's point of view, where is the demand lying? And I think that's when we honed in, I guess, on our vision, and everything's changed since, from packaging and design in different elements. But
yeah, and you guys have come so far, like even like from when I was first there to 100 days, like just before I left to go back to the World RX season. Yeah. So it was the off season that actually I was like a friend of the brand, if you like, just helping out a bit.
Helping out.
But the fascinating thing was to see how quick you guys move and how well you work with momentum. Yeah. Because there was probably 1,000 things up on the whiteboard, and you know everyone was new at this. You don't have the insight of being like a big brand before.
No, that was it.
And really that's what's impressed me about the team that you've put together now, and how you've managed to get from like day dot to where you are now. Yeah, there's mistakes, but you wear those scars, and that's how you learn. But I learned an absolute ton working with both of you on what it takes to actually build and eat like a product. Yeah. And then my fascination was, okay, how can I bring what I know from the marketing world into this? And pretty much just see if there was anything that I could help with. And I think we got quite a lot done. Like when you look back on it, the amount that it sort of developed into what it's become now.
Yeah, definitely.
Was amazing.
I think of when at that stage, it was a lot of the ideas that actually the product that we've got to now is based upon. But I think at that time, especially from mine and Ollie's point of view, there was all of these ideas, and like they were sick. Like we had so much to sort of go off. But what we needed to learn was the execution side of things, because there was all these ideas, all of these plans, everything that we had, and we all were on the same page with it. But then it was the execution that we were lacking. And then from that point, we then sort of started to understand how to take an idea from an idea all the way through to...
All the way through, yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, I think, with a small team as well, because you all want to do like what you think is going to be the right direction. But you just, like we said, there's 1,000 things on the whiteboard, and you're like, right, what's the most urgent thing that we need to get done, and then what's the coolest thing that we can pair that with?
Yeah, and I think it's just so many ideas in an early stage when you're looking at different, even from events to products to execution to routes to market, online, real world, sort of on the shelf and through the website. There's so many avenues you can go as a startup. It can be confusing. I can see a lot of people when they start a new business, there's a start, and a lot of times, especially an organic startup like this, you start with an idea of what we thought, and we think is the idea that we would like and what other people would like. But it's then, how do you get that to market? What is the right way to do it? We still do online now. It's part of the reason you're in the office today, isn't it? We're looking at just some different online.
Massive secrets. Massive secrets.
This is for your podcast, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But,
I need a massive secret, like drop and knowledge nukes everywhere and all sorts of stuff. But we're not going to tell it. We're not going to call our shot.
But I think it's still that thing as a startup. There is routes to market now that have changed over the years. Drinks don't just have to be bought in shops. Although distribution is key for us because it's the closer you are to a can, the easier it is to pick up. Online is still quite interesting.
Our business model changed really because we focused on very much online, direct to consumer, direct to sort of what we thought would be the gaming market, because all of the functionality in our product, it really fit them. We actually fit the branding around that at the time. And so Oliver Bennett.
That's a fine, Meg, that's a fine. I think he's buying lunch. He's buying lunch now.
What's the podcast for? To be fair, we have got an event in a day and a half now. We're at Western Beach this weekend.
Go on, take the call.
No, it's fine.
If it's that important, take the call.
It's not too important for the podcast.
It's actually his alarm to wake up. It's 11:30.
It's actually a race mechanic. It's Carl. Hi, Carl. Couldn't take your call there, but
That was me.
Yeah,
I'd get, absolutely.
Yeah, you'd get
oh,
fired.
you always answers Meg. You always answer Meg's calls.
Meg, I don't give Meg my phone number.
What were we even saying?
That's a buzzkill, Meg, that.
I know, literally.
Sorry, guys.
That's where our business model changed, is from focusing solely on a lot of online, as opposed to sort of, convenience and the sort of impulse buying that we've gone into now. I guess we transitioned from that into the more mainstream, didn't we? And that's where we kind of found that there was a lot more. I think we were shocked by the demand in the mainstream sort of
I think
channels.
that's
I was more shocked than I think you guys were, because I was adamant that online was the way to go. I think we were probably a bit early.
I think
early, the product was super early in its development stage. The can was quite a bit different as well. There was a lot of things like it looked premium, but it didn't look as clean. In my opinion, like the first run of the cans was really cool, and it fit like a bit of a darker image.
Well, it didn't fit our USPs, did it? Like we couldn't get across our,
how clean and pure and healthy.
It kind of looked a bit like it was.
And again, I think that comes from the outside perspective. We was looking at the product how we would enjoy to see it, not thinking, well, what does it tell you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's where the messaging comes in.
We
and
still
obviously
get some people like, where's your old can? Like, you loved your old can. And
just
we're
pop
like,
a picture up of it.
Move on. We've moved on. But yeah.
What I thought was a good move, like just talking on the product a little bit and how well you've done with the marketing side of it. Obviously, you've got access to athletes and different influencers and stuff through what Ollie does through your connections. But I think a really good move was going from something quite small of a can to going a little bit bigger, but not quite as big as some of the other energy drink brands that you'd see out there. So it almost speaks to more of a healthy product anyway, because there's not quite so much in volume of it.
Yeah. Like that was influence from influencers and ambassadors, especially in fitness, because they were like, well, we don't really want a smaller, the 250ml cans we see a lot of, because you have a quick swig and it's gone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they couldn't drink a whole 500ml sort of fruity, sugary type of product, because they feel bloated and a bit sick and different things before they work out. So that was actually coined on the fitness side, wasn't it? Of thinking they want something that was value for money on the sides, but not that you drink loads and feel sickly and stuff, which is why
it's a big point. I think that most companies, especially early stage companies, they'll try and build like out their products, and they'll build what they want, just as everyone would do, and to the best of their ability, but not speak to the customers
or follow the market.
Just
everyone
so
do a 250ml can because everyone does.
That's what other drinks do. Yeah, no, that's something that you. If you were to do it again, you definitely go to the market with some sort of proof of concept before and be like, right, what do you want? What do you want? And what is it that we're going to make inside the product that actually gives you a result?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, so I think on this side of outside influence, what advice would we give people? Because I think we've done a bit of the struggles we had, and obviously all the stupid ideas from Dave. That some we listen to. There's loads that we haven't put in here, Dave.
By the way, I look at this company now, and I
ideas.
think like that my idea wouldn't have got even close to being like, you've got a team of people now, and I wouldn't pass an interview with anyone in this team.
To be fair, when you come in the other day, Dave, when you left, there was like, that guy's full of energy.
That guy's full of energy. And why is our whiteboard
covered in
defaced?
graffiti? Yeah.
Why is our whiteboard defaced? I'll tell you why. But that's in another episode. But once I actually get the results.
What sort of advice would we give to people on outside influence? Because it can be good and bad. We've had a lot of outside influence, especially early on, of, it's not going to work. You're up against such big people. You can't get into the market. The barriers to entry are too big. Everyone just drinks X, Y, or Z. There is a lot of negative outside influence, but as we've seen in a couple of conversations on what we done with other people, and like you said, you with the can kind of thing, there can be positive outside influence. So it's how do people cope with those sort of messages?
So if we pick 1 point each as a takeaway, I think that would be pretty cool. I'll start. So because then I know that you two can't steal my reply.
He's gone in with that
knowledge nuke. So I don't think you should be put off by competition, and that's one thing that I learned super early with what you guys were doing. When I first met you, I thought, oh my goodness, they're going after the supplement market and the energy drink market, two of them super hyper competitive markets. And I thought there's zero chance. You'd need millions to compete.
Yeah.
But actually, when you niche down and get to a point where you're in a sub niche, or you go after a target market and you're developing the product with them.
Yeah.
Actually, being in a crowded market or a competitive market is a good thing, because there's demand for the product.
Yeah.
Too many people go off, and I'm guilty of this as well. With a lot of stuff that I've done, you go off and you think, right, I'm going to make something completely new, that no one's ever heard of before, and then you've got the extra challenge of, one, not being able to model anyone, and you can't, success leaves clues. You can't model that if it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And there's a famous saying, basically, where the guy who's gone out first, the Indian who's gone out first, is laying on the floor with arrows in his back. And that's so true. You don't really want to be first.
And I think it's even changed now with our generation. One, we're not so brand loyal, so we're looking for opportunities. But even markets, especially with online, we've seen the rise of clothing brands, of all sorts of disruptive markets that you would have said, no chance.
Yeah, for sure.
They can be disrupted now. I think
the world's changed so much just in the last 5 years, let alone the last decade. And when you look at what damage you're able to do with really good content, really good messaging, an amazing product, obviously that has to be, that's the differentiator there. But the thing for me is, don't be scared of going into a hyper competitive market. Just make sure that you're totally different.
Yeah.
And you speak to one set of people, your ideal
the
customers,
core values,
basically have a really good customer
we're big on is core values.
Yeah, and make sure that you're there. That's my bit. Anyway, that's the knowledge nuke from me.
So mine is...
I'm last.
Here we go.
One bit of advice.
Drum roll.
Don't hire Dave. Misery.
It will end in misery, but for those that don't know, that's my actual nickname.
Yeah, misery.
That's why.
For a reason. No, one bit of advice, I guess, is actually, don't be afraid to get things wrong either. We got so much wrong. You're never gonna get it right straight out the gate, at all. And if you think you're gonna, then you've got a bit of a shock coming, because you're just not. There's always gonna be something that, you weren't quite knowledgeable on, or you did get wrong, but that doesn't mean that, you failed in any way. It's just a step in the journey, I guess. So I guess don't give up too soon, because there's loads of times that we could have been like, oh God, just no point.
There was even times we questioned it, wasn't there? We're is this it now?
Is this even
Should we go get a different job? Yeah.
And it's only because we love the brand and we actually really believe in what we're doing that we've kind of carried on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's mine.
Leeds.
And don't hire Dave Mansfield.
No link in bio.
Well, unless you've got VC funding, and because I'm really expensive. So if you've got VC funding, hire me. There'll probably be a nice car on your drive.
You can't afford Dave Mansfield, so...
Unfortunately.
Yeah, who's the loser here? And I think mine leads onto those quite nicely, which I think is, especially with outside influence, there's always positives to take from a negative. Because I think no matter when we had some negative feedback, even colour of this guy here, the first name, which was, as we said, a bit of an issue, and even other things on sort of routes to market, different things, what I've always found, which is weird, there's the next step has always been more positive than what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
It's almost like the negative was always right, which
Yeah.
led to the positive. So I think that's something as a startup to be really careful of, that you don't get consumed by negative feedback or information. You just take that on and make the next step better.
Well, look at us, like literally, Dave just came and was like, look, you need to change your colour. I was like, go with blue. If we were just like, well, no, then
Yeah, we
where
still be
would
that.
we
Yeah.
literally be
I'd
now?
tell you where you'd have been.
You know,
50
my
shades
green
of green.
race.
I remember seeing the style guide and I was like, hang on, that's definitely a different shade of green, and I'm colourblind.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
can tell that to me looks like a different colour brown.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't know the colour that I picked out off the chart was blue, but hopefully it looks good now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things you got to take, you know.
You've got to take it, because I think it comes back to Meg's point. You'll never be right the first time, and if you think you are, you probably will fail.
Yeah,
But-
don't
but
be
the
arrogant
ideas-
about it.
Yeah, the ideas are good because that's where you build momentum.
Yeah.
As long as
Yeah.
as long as you got thick skin, like, because I could have got laughed out of the room and not pay,
Yeah.
I'd have to pay for lunch that day. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would have been terrible.
That's today.
No, you get the fine for your watch going
Can't
off.
roulette.
We're going to a nice restaurant.
Well, that's been 20 minutes of a good talk, I think. So
No way.
should we wrap it up there?
See, Meg, I told you, it doesn't feel like that long, does it?
No, it goes
See?
quick, doesn't it? And these
Oh,
cameras
no.
turn off, as we've already realised from last time. But
Okay.
no, I think that's a bit of information of like how we've dealt with some outside influence, how we've learned along the way. We're going to get loads more as we grow, for no doubt, especially as we're entering different markets in different countries. It's going to be quite a big journey, but hope you enjoyed this week. There's one thing we have nearly forgot again.
No,
so
I
Meg,
didn't
you need.
No, we didn't
Oh,
forget.
you didn't forget.
We didn't forget.
Right,
What
you
was
saw-
the name? Because I don't even know this. And I think, was it named after a boat? Was the one
Ooh.
name that I'm thinking of named
That's
after a boat? But I
close.
don't know what the boat's called.
Am I going to go? Am I?
Yeah,
No,
wasn't
Meg
even-
Meg's got to say it.
dropped the
You
ball on the
gotta say
last
it.
one. So
No, you say it, Meg. Introducing the
Don't
new
even
energy
want to.
drink to the market. The name is
Rocks Energy.
what, like
Savage.
Spout
Rocks.
with
Like
the
rocks,
no.
spelled ROCX.
Yeah.
ROCX?
Should we bring up a
Rocks.
picture of the bottles?
I think we should. Should
Right.
we just
Oh,
put
you
in a little
did
picture
get
at
all the
end?
branding and stuff done.
Oh, we've got
Oh god,
mate.
yeah. We had
Yeah, we had
mock-ups.
mock-ups. We
We
had
had all sorts.
right. We'll pop the image up now.
That's
You can.
interesting.
We'll sign off
We'll
with a
pop it.
picture of the image.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening, guys. This is this week's. Well, obviously, this is this week's.
This has been
This has been
this
great.
week's.
So yeah, we're off to an event this weekend in Weston, which is a big bike race, which is going to be fun. And then next event is London. We on Regent Street, which is gaming again. So we'll sign off there. Till next time. Thank
Signing
you.
off.
Boom.
Boom.